Parkins, Hickman, Hill, Hobson, McMahon, Parks, Polk, Tate, Turner Ford, Wiggins. We have a quorum.
I'm told we have a quorum present. My intention is to take up several bills and with the permission of the committee, send a committee report to the clerk so it'll get in before 5 p.m. And then we'll take up the hemp bill and try to complete that today, even if we complete it too late for the bill to be on tomorrow's calendar, which maybe, get to the appropriate committee. At any rate, the first item I would call up is House Bill 531, which is the Rural Dentist Scholarship Program. This just increases the number of students who may be admitted to this program. It's doubly referred to appropriations. To a large extent, it's an appropriations call of, given the money available, this is what they want to, what appropriations wants to spend money for. So Senator Parker moves title sufficient to pass. Is there discussion or debate? If not, are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We'll report that to the Appropriations Committee. The next bill is House Bill 671. It is the Hospital Expanded Capacity Program. This was an effort to get ARPA money to hospitals. There has been a delay in doing this because of state law. And so what the bill before you would do is just change the deadline in the state statute so that the money that's sitting there can work its way to the hospitals. I think we probably need an amendment to provide that the act shall take effect from and after passage. But at any rate, Senator Parker moves title sufficient to pass, makes that amendment to the effective date clause. Are you ready to vote on the amendment? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're back on title sufficient to pass as amended. We could just do that as an amendment. Debate, discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We'll go to item 1262, which is out of order. And this is a bill which would allow those who've been medics in the military and have got 2 years of actual experience to apply to be LPNs. They would still have to take the exam and everything, but there's a list of the, I think that's been passed out with you with a list of the information about the bill. But I think in particular, Senator Blackwell may have some experience in this area. Is that true?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
What do you think of the bill?
I think it's an excellent bill. When I got out of the service, I was a Navy corpsman. I got out, I could be an orderly, which is basically emptying bedpans, giving baths and stuff. Where before I'd been doing sutures, shots, doing IVs, pretty much independent duty work. I think this is an excellent opportunity for those folks who are serving in the military to come out. And it is a lower entry job in healthcare, but at least it gets them a decent job as they progress on to either further training as a medical professional or, in my case, going in the administration route.
Well, as you know, we have a lot of retired military in the state, and we try to take advantage of the real life experience they've had in the military. So that's the bill. Are there questions or debate? Is the motion title sufficient to pass? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We'll go to item 1530, which allows, this is identical to a bill that the Senate passed earlier. It allows boards of supervisors, if they agree to change the makeup of boards of community mental health centers. There's circumstances where the counties may agree for some counties to have more members than others if they want to. That's what the bill does. It's identical to what we passed. There's a motion title sufficient to pass, the debate, discussion. If not, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. And I see there's House Bill 1401, which is, I think, identical to a bill that we passed earlier. I would call up House Bill 1401. There's a motion title sufficient to pass. This allows for certification of community health workers by the Department of Health. The practical advantage of this is this allows Medicaid reimbursement for community health workers who are people with some training, but really have the ability to go out and relate to people and encourage people to take their drugs, stay on their medicine, see their doctors, keep their appointments, to answer the sort of questions that a lot of people just sort of know. But that's what the bill does. Is there questions or debate? Not all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. It appears the ayes have it. The ayes have it. And without objection, I'm going to ask the secretary, wherever she may be, there she is, right over there, where she always is, to prepare a committee report showing the work of the committee up to this point, and then we can sign that and send that to the docket room. And then the next item that I would call up would be House Bill 1094. This is a bill dealing with contracts that the Public Health Lab has. The purchases that they make are very specific. It's very, the equipment is for very individual needs and purposes. We have other laboratories in the state. They have the same exemption for the same reason. And as I say, I don't think the Public Health Lab is a hotbed of nefarious purchasing. So this just exempts it from the PPRB. Same as our Senate. There's a motion title sufficient to pass. Debate, question, are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We'll report that to the Accountability Committee. At this point, I think it might be well to take up the Hemp Cultivation Act, and I will call on Senator Blackwell to handle that bill for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it was last week you had a hearing on this bill, and I think it hopefully brought a lot of light to members of the committee. It's a hefty bill, but the reason it's so thick is because we're changing a lot of language or realigning a lot of language through a significant number of sections, actually from sections 18 through 80, I believe it is. And what we do in those sections is we rename beer, light wine, light spirit products as light intoxicating beverages. So that is pretty much the thickness of the bill. But going back up to the front of in section 1, we're renaming the Mississippi Hemp Cultivation Act, the Mississippi Hemp Act. It establishes that the Mississippi Department of Health is the sole regulatory authority. Section 2, we provide key definitions for hemp, consumable hemp products, and intoxicating hemp product. We list prohibited cannabinoids, including Delta-8, Delta-10, Delta THCO, HHC, and synthetic cannabinoids. In Section 3, we require licensing for all hemp businesses, including growers, processors, manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers. We mandate that out-of-state businesses be licensed with the state of Mississippi to sell products. Section 4, we list violations for hemp growers. Section 5 explicitly prohibits the sale, manufacture, or distribution of intoxicating hemp products. It introduces criminal penalties for violations for selling consumable hemp products to people under the age of 21 and exempts hemp beverages from these penalties. Section 6 requires the Department of Health approval for all product labels to ensure accurate consumer information. It mandates the inclusion of certificate of analysis for THC levels and contaminants. Section 7 permits consumable hemp manufacturers to sell to licensed entities. It prohibits misleading advertising for hemp products. Section 8 establishes quarterly reporting requirements for all licensed hemp businesses. Failure to report results in a $1,000 fine per violation. Section 9 establishes a 3% excise tax on all consumable hemp products. Tax revenue to be deposited in the general fund. Section 10 gives the Department of Health enforcement authority over illegal hemp products. It gives regulatories the powers to shut down illegal hemp operations. Section 11 prohibits synthetic cannabinoid production and distribution. It includes a ban on chemically modified THC derivatives. Section 12 mandates independent lab testing for all hemp products. Section 13 requires a surety bond for hemp processors. Section 14 replaces the Department of Ag with the Department of Health for implementation. Section 15 creates stricter penalties for medical cannabis companies who sell THC outside the medical cannabis program. Section 16 establishes a consumable hemp directory. Section 17 establishes clear signage requirement for consumable hemp products in licensed retail stores. And like I said, sections 18 through the remainder basically rename beer, light wine, light spirits as light intoxicating beverages. In section 42, we removed the exception for a person 18 to 20 years of age to consume light intoxicating beverages with their parents or guardian. And in section 67, we increased all beer permits. Retailers went from 30 location to 150 per location. Wholesale distributors from $100 per county to $2,000 per location. Manufacturers from $1,000 per location to $2,000 per location. Brew pubs, and we increased that microbrews, small craft, and all of this came at the request of the industry. That's an explanation of the bill.
My understanding is you've been having some communications with Senator Yancey,
I have,
and that there is some modification made to the bill, that Senator Yancey's intention is to move to concur in whatever we do, and you think that what you've outlined is something he would concur in.
yes, sir, I do.
And so are there questions? Senator Barnett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think you can attest to this, that for the last, I know, couple of years, I've complained about how certain stores operate in certain communities, and this bothered me. Even spoke on it at the last meeting. So I guess my question would be to Senator Blackwell, will you be opposed to an amendment?
I haven't heard the amendment, what it might be.
Okay. Well, I have an amendment that would, if we could place a 12% tax at these stores that sell the CBD products, and they would have to display either digitally or have a paper copy of their COA in their businesses.
We addressed the COA in this, and they would have to have a a copy of that and be able to produce to the consumer upon request. Would not be in favor of an additional tax, so at this early stage.
I just think the extra tax will help further, the complaints that I've, had in regards to this.
The complaints I believe you're getting, you shouldn't be getting because those products will be illegal and will not be sold in those stores.
So you are not in favor of the amendment?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Of course, you can offer the amendment whether he likes it or not.
Amendment, Mr. Chairman.
And you state the amendment?
Sir. My amendment would be to have a 12% tax with a digital copy or a hard copy of the COA for all of the retailers, for all those who retail said products.
Okay. You want to speak on it or?
I think I tried to speak on it before.
You understand the amendment? Anyone else? Senator McMahon?
I have a question about the amendment.
Sure.
So I'm trying to understand, this is a 12% excise tax or a 12% sales tax?
This would be a 12% sales tax.
A 12% sales tax in addition to the 7%.
Yeah.
So it'd be a 19% sales tax.
I mean, if you want to sell it, if they want to buy it or smoke it or whatever, you know.
I'm not opposed. I'm not for or against what you're trying to do. I'm trying to understand it.
And this helps I think this helps those who are doing it right, continue to do it right. And those who are not, and those bad actors that I've complained about to this committee and tried to pass legislation to this committee to help, I think this would fix the problem.
Okay, I'm just trying to so it's a 12% additional sales tax on top of the 7% sales tax.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand what we're doing. If I'm just trying to understand the amendment. Thank you.
Senator Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Barnett, I'm not sure you fully understand what bill is encompassing with making these products illegal. If you would, for the expedience of this, withdraw your motion, and I will get with you and talk to you and work with you so that you better understand this. And if it gets to the point where we need to add an additional amendment, I'll be happy to work with you on it.
Okay, well, yeah. I appreciate that, Senator Blackwell, but I appreciate, I would like though, if I would hold my amendment, I would hope that the talks that we have is not necessarily about the products, but about the safety and the communities that I'm trying to protect. To make that, I think should be part of this legislation too.
And that is part of this bill, Senator Barnett.
So Senator Barnett, do you wish to withdraw your amendment?
I withdraw my amendment.
Without objection. 19% sales tax. That sounds like the House tax bill. Senator Hill.
Question for Senator Blackwell. So what are you making illegal to sell in this bill?
All these products that you walk into the convenience store now, all those things on the shelf will be
The intoxicating hemp,
intoxicating hemp products.
except we're allowing intoxicating hemp beverages.
We're going to allow the beverage, yes, ma'am.
Who can sell those under this bill?
Wherever beer is sold. And so it's going to be controlled just like beer would be controlled. You have to be 21 to purchase it. We've limited the milligrammage to no more than 5 milligrams in a 12-ounce container. And I don't know if you're near Louisiana. I don't know if you venture over to those convenience stores, but you may see some cans
They got it illegally in my county right now.
like 50, 60 milligrams, even higher. and they're meant for multi-dosing, but who's going to open up a can and take a sip? So we're limiting it on our end.
So basically, what we're making illegal under state law, the intoxicating hemp is already illegal under federal law, is it not? Or is it just gray?
Well, there's a loophole
Okay.
in the hemp bill, and there's some very smart people who've taken advantage of the chemistry and produce these products. So they're legal at one point in time when they're weighed and tested, they're legal. But over a period of time, you can do other things to them that enhances the.
But for the other hemp products that are the non-intoxicating, they're just gonna have to be licensed and they have to have their products tested that they sell through the health department.
Correct.
Okay. The other thing that I heard you say was that, you're repealing something about parents being able to drink intoxicating hemp with their kids or something?
Right now, a 18-year-old if you have a 18-year-old, you can go to a restaurant and they can order a beer and have it with you while you're there. And we're removing that provision.
So they can't now or they can now?
Not be able to, they can now, they will not be.
They can now, but they can't drink,
Pass.
they can't drink alcohol at a restaurant at 18 with their parents if this bill passes.
If the bill passes, they cannot.
But now they can,
Yeah.
18 to 21. So what's the,
It's the law right now.
no, but I mean, what's the purpose of repealing it?
Well, we're going to manage it all like beer and the other products where you have to be 21 to purchase it. And we're just making it, expanding that to the restaurants.
Okay, I think there might be some concealed carry code brought forth in this bill. Is that still in the bill? So there's nothing about gun laws in the bill? Okay. Just trying to think. So the intoxicating beverages, who's going to test those?
The Department of Health.
Okay, so they're going to test them for how much hemp's in there?
And I don't know if you were at their hearing.
I was not.
Well, earlier on last year, Steep Hill, which is a lab here, went out and picked up about 14 different items from these convenience stores and tested them. And only a couple of them had the.
Yeah, I did read all that. I did read all that.
Last month, they did it again for I think it was about 12 products and none of them lined up. So
Yeah.
these are dangerous
Oh,
products.
I don't disagree.
We're just trying to get them out of our convenience stores and, Senator Barnett's situation to, protect the.
So anything that falls under the level of non-intoxicating, they can still sell, but they have to just be inspected and they have to get a license to sell it. Thank you.
Senator Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may have answered this with Senator Hill's question, but I'm going to ask you to confirm. So, and I will say, I'm just a simple caveman lawyer when it comes to all this stuff. I just like.
No lawyers in this bill.
Okay, good. So, and I appreciate the hearing that we had. Since the hearing, I've had a few people, not ones that were at the hearing, come to me and talk about that there's other products, I guess actually hemp products that aren't intoxicating, and fearful that the bill would ban that. But then according to Senator Hill, you said those can be sold. And so, okay, so that they can be sold. Okay. Then as I understand, everything seems to center around this 0.3, and you've said it, people are finding loopholes. But what was explained to me was, I guess that that doesn't apply in certain situations. And of course, what we saw in the hearing was they were additives being added and all this other stuff. My concern is that there are legal product, or there are products, I'll say this, there are that 0.3 that Representative Yancey and yourself have said seems like a bright line, good line to me. Seems to be a lot of discussion around that, and people seem to differ on that. Is that the loophole that you're talking about?
No,
And why are we
Well,
Why is that always coming up?
it's the dried weight below that 3% you can have. What happens when you heat it or you apply chemicals to it, you change that composition where you can get the THC 8 and Delta 10 and all these other products. Extrapolate it there, and I don't know how they do it chemically, but
But there are hemp products that are not intoxicating.
started off that way. But
Okay,
you can change that.
right. But if they're not, if it's not being changed, those can be sold. Okay. Okay. So if it's not being changed, I guess it can be changed into something like Delta 8 or something. Okay. So if they're not being changed by whatever process and it's hemp, it's not prohibited
Non-intoxicating.
and it's not intoxicating. Okay. So, and so is there provisions to determine what is intoxicating hemp and, well, I'm back up, what is not intoxicating hemp? Or is that what you're saying can be tested?
Or the testing.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
One more follow-up. One more follow-up. I guess my next question would be the chemistry of hemp, which I'm not a chemistry expert. I taught chemistry a long time ago. But with the climate that we have and the cultivation of hemp and how it does tend to raise that level, would we not potentially put every hemp product out of business if that low level's not maintained from weather or, you know,
I don't think it's going
I mean, like, what, do we have any examples of stuff on the shelf right now that tests below that? Does anybody know that?
testing below that. I
Or-
have to find out, but I will, if this gets to the floor, we'll present some items that you'll see that have contain over that amount and
Mhm.
how much they appeal to children.
Oh, I don't doubt that. What I'm saying is, I just don't know that you can maintain that low level of in that particular plant. I don't know that in this climate that you can,
Imagine when you process it and how you process
I
it.
don't know,
But-
maybe we'll have a better answer because that's my concern that some of these people are selling like lotions and stuff like that. And I don't know, would that still be legal under this bill?
They're also legal.
I just would be concerned that some of the stuff, you know, that they're not even eating or putting in their mouth, is that going to be tested too? Like if it's a lotion,
Not the lotions.
just anything that's consumable? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Senator McMahon.
So I had read the House bill, had some detailed notes. And so what we have before us is a strike all amendment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm glad I wrote my amendment the way it is. I have an amendment I'd like to pass out. Chairs willing to allow.
Fine.
And then I'll
You're,
speak-
you're
and then I'll-
recognized for that. Just
I'll speak to it.
pass out the amendment and you can explain it and speak on behalf of it.
Code section 60, am I recognized to speak on the amendment? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Code section 67-3-5 is in this bill, and so I have an amendment. And what I'd like to go over the amendment, I've typed it for you all so you could see it, but what this does is I would like to conform the alcohol permitting to conform to the same thing as the cannabis permitting in the state. Currently, a cannabis dispensary can't operate within 1,500 feet of another one. So this will conform the alcohol laws to the exact same rules. So if you see, it says the Department of Revenue should not issue any new retail permits for the sale of alcohol beverages if the proposed location is within 1,500 feet of an existing retail packaging store that holds a valid permit issued by the Department of Revenue. Number two, the 1,500-foot distance shall be measured in a straight line from primary front door to primary front door. of existing retail packaging stores. Number three, the provisions of this section shall not apply to applicants for permits renewals of existing packaging stores. The transfer of ownership from business already holding a valid permit or locations within a municipality or county that has exacting ordinances, and that's what the amendment does. It'll conform our packaging retail to the exact thing as our dispensaries. I yield for any questions.
I don't see any questions. Does anyone wish to speak? Senator Blunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator McMahon, so this deals with all alcoholic beverages, including beer?
This deals with alcohol retail permitting. It does not affect anyone that already has a permit. This would be for new permitting in the future.
So if my city or county builds a road and it creates a new intersection and somebody wants to open up a gas station or a convenience store at the northeast corner of the intersection to have a gas station and a convenience store and sell fried chicken, then nobody can open up a gas station convenience store at any of the other corners of that intersection because there's already one gas station and convenience store selling beer at that intersection?
No, sir, it doesn't have anything to do with beer sales or this
Okay.
only has retail packaging.
Okay, so this
It's
is,
wine and spirit store.
okay, I'm sorry. That was my first question is.
Yes, sir.
This is only relates to liquor stores, not to the sale of beer.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
So
all right.
I'll use your same analogy. If you were to put in a new street and you wanted to put in a packaging store and there was already a packaging store within
Okay.
1,500 feet from front door to front door, you couldn't. But that law would also conform to our cannabis law. If I already had a cannabis and you wanted to put one within 1,500 feet of the existing, you couldn't.
Okay.
You couldn't be issued that.
I
That's
just-
what the amendment does, and I'm happy to discuss the amendment further.
No, thank you. My question just was whether this related to just liquor or whether it could relate to the sale of beer, and you've answered that question for me.
It's only packaging stores,
Thank you.
wine and spirit.
Senator Wiggins?
I think I understand the amendment. I'm just
You
curious.
do?
I'm just a caveman lawyer, but I do, I think. What's the impetus for the amendment? Is it so there's not an overloading or overcrowding of alcohol, package stores in the same place?
Correct.
Or what is okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Our retail packaging stores don't conform to the cannabis, so this will conform them and make them both the same.
Well, no, I understand that, but
It doesn't affect any packaging store that already exists. It doesn't affect them at all. This is
I
just for
understand.
new.
But are we understanding that the cannabis, you're talking about the cannabis has that? Why aren't we just leaving that up to market forces and local zoning laws?
Because it's a controlled substance and we didn't leave it up to local ordinances for cannabis. This is a state locally sets the ordinances for beer and things
Right.
of that nature. This is only for wine and spirit stores, which is regulated by the state.
Right. And so why don't we continue to leave that up to the local zoning ordinance? Wine and beer, or I'm sorry, wine is not a quote controlled substance.
Right.
It's
Well, it is a controlled substance. You have to be 21 years old to purchase it.
okay. When I say controlled substance, I talk about under the Controlled
Schedule I.
Substances Act.
Yeah.
It is, so to Senator, whichever asked the question, this is changing that for all the laws of packaged liquor stores.
That's correct. For new permits,
New.
for new permits. It does not affect the roughly 800 retailers that are mom and pop businesses that already hold their permits. And it doesn't affect if they sell the business. You can see the exceptions. So if I already have a package store and you want to purchase it, you can purchase that license.
Senator Blackwell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I understand where you're coming from this, and actually, I think I had some language like this years ago in some liquor bills. But I question the germaneness of this. You know, the bill relates to beer, light wine, and which we're now calling intoxicating spirits. It does not reference liquor or wine.
That may be true, but code section 67-3-5 is in the original bill from the House. And there, I would think it would be germane.
Well, this is
That's
not
where
a
the
House-
licensing
This
is.
is not a House bill. This is a Senate bill, and I'm just questioning the germaneness of the amendment.
Mr. Chairman, if you would. So the amendment
Well,
says,
I think that from a technical standpoint, this is where we are. I'm not sure I've even recognized someone to offer the strike all amendment, but I'll recognize Senator Blackwell to offer the strike all amendment for that purpose. Nevertheless, the underlying bill is the House bill. And so if this is a provision in the House bill, I'm inclined to say it would be a germane amendment to the because it's germane to the underlying bill. At least that would be my ruling at this particular time, late in the afternoon, and it's hard for me to think. But is there further debate on the amendment itself? If not, Senator McMahon, do you want to close?
yeah, like I said, you know, for fairness before the law, I would encourage you to vote for this, and it will bring into sync our permitting for our cannabis as well as our alcohol retailers. And it doesn't affect anyone that currently holds a permit now. Ask you to vote for the amendment.
Okay, the vote recurs on the amendment by Senator McMahon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It appears the noes have it. The noes have it, and the amendment is not agreed to. And is there further debate? Senator Fillingane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator McMahon, you'll have another shot in finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm just trying to reconcile. We earlier this session had a bill, I think that scheduled Kratom and brings it, if that were to pass, off of the shelves. And it doesn't put it in any sort of dispensary or apothecary or anything like that. It just basically makes it illegal without a prescription. How is the intoxicating hemp different from, I guess, maybe in your research and your hearings, the issue that we're tackling now with the Kratom? And why should we treat them differently?
I don't know the difference between the kratom. I'm not even familiar with kratom, other than I believe the plant or the leaf product from that plant is safer or is a good product, healthier product. But they, from my understanding, they take that and they synthesize similar to what they do with the hemp and come up with some, some different products that have caused harm. But I'm not fully knowledgeable on kratom or what it does.
So does it make sense to you that we would schedule one of the two and then put the other in a dispensary of some sort for people to purchase?
Well, the other is going to be well, you're not going to be able to go in the convenience store and get it other than the hemp drink. And we're already controlling the medical cannabis side of things.
Under this bill, who gets to decide whether someone is able to purchase the intoxicating hemp?
You got to be 21.
And then you just go into a dispensary.
No dispensary.
It's going to be in the grocery stores.
The beverage.
Right. What about the non-beverage?
It'll be in either still in CBD stores or in medical cannabis.
So that's what I'm
dispensary.
saying. So you're going to put the intoxicating version of this stuff.
We already have an intoxicating version. That's what the medical cannabis program is. It does have an intoxicating effect.
Well, it can. Depends on the amount, I guess, you consume.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Senator Hill.
I thought I understood Senator Blackwell to say, other than intoxicating hemp beverage, all the other intoxicating hemp would be made illegal and not moved to the dispensaries, correct?
The products that you can get in a medical dispensary or cannabis dispensary now, you will be continue to get.
So are you selling intoxicating hemp in there now in the dispensaries?
Yes, ma'am. If there's flour, it's intoxicating.
What I'm saying is, what's in the convenience stores now that's comparative to what you're selling in the dispensaries?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Stuff that's in the convenience stores now is all this garbage that has been synthesized and is now being sold to our kids. That is you won't be able to find it in the store, or shouldn't, if the
So are you
ABC
expanding
folks do
anything
their
that
thing.
are you expanding anything that you're selling in the dispensaries?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Senator Hickman.
Just a quick question. I want to be clear that what we're doing here, none of the products that we're seeing in convenience stores are going anywhere else. They're all being banned. We're not moving anything into dispensaries. We're not putting anything else in our dispensaries that we've set up. Everything here is going to be banned except light intoxicating beverages. And those will be regulated as if they're beer. And that's why we did all the changes in the rest of the statute.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Senator McMahon.
So, like I said, I didn't realize we were going to have a strike all in committee today, and this is a 238-page bill, 5,949 lines. So I just want to be sure in the House, in the original House bill, we're on Section 3, we're transferring hemp regulation authority from Department of Agriculture to the Department of Health. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're doing that because the Department of Health currently regulates cannabis. So now they'll regulate hemp as well.
Correct.
To conform that.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then the other thing is I wanted to talk about the testing, Senator Blackwell. So I listened very closely the other day to the hearing, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that. That was helpful. But one of the things that I didn't ask any questions in the committee because I wanted time to think about it. And I think one of the flaws that we're looking at here is we're putting the burden of the testing on the retailers when they're buying a product that's packaged and it says what the ingredients are. And so I'm thinking, when I go to the store and I buy a box and it says it's 30% sugar. I mean, the retailer's not testing to see if it's really 30% sugar in there. They're going by the packaging. And I agree with what you're doing. I completely support what you're doing to get these products out. But I think we're putting an undue burden on the retailer because when a retailer purchases something and it's packaged and it meets FDA packaging requirements or whatever the governing authority is, we're holding the retailer to a burden that they don't test. And so like the drinks, the sodas that is it called a soda? The THC sodas?
Not sure if they call them a soda or not. It's,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but
I guess it's like a beer.
okay. So to that point, so it's what percent THC is it 5%?
We're limiting it to no more than 5 milligrams of THC in a 12-ounce container.
Okay, 5 milligrams.
And
So convenience stores are not they're going to assume that the packaging in that can is correct.
I hear where you're coming from. The manufacturer of that product is the one that's going to have to supply the testing to the state. And the state will also then test that to make sure it's accurate. If you heard me mention to Senator Hill a little while ago, we did have products tested and yeah, there's a COA, but what's on that COA is not what's in that product being tested. And that's what we just want to make sure that these products are safe for, our folks out there.
But we're empowering government here to go, let's say they go to a retailer and they test it and you said it was 5 milliliters,
5 milligrams.
5 milligrams of THC in this, and we test it and it's 6. You're gonna go in and seize all the product from the retailer and put the burden on them when the packaging said it was 5.
That'll be up to the Department of Health and Department of Revenue. They're the ones regulating.
You see why I'm frustrated with what we're doing. We're empowering law enforcement and agencies to confiscate products in stores, but the packaging says it's a legal product. I mean, they bought it in good faith. It's legal to purchase. Look, we won't tie this. I'd like an opportunity for us to sit and talk about it before we get this on the floor, if that'd be agreeable with you.
Sure. Absolutely.
And thank you for your work. I appreciate it.
Further questions or debate? If not, the motion is title sufficient do pass as amended. You ready to vote? All in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, no. It appears the ayes have it. We'll report this bill to the Finance Committee. I have, I guess, bad news for the committee in 2 ways. First of all, it may be the case that we try to schedule a brief meeting tomorrow to take up several things at Deadlines Tuesday. I don't think we'll take up anything controversial or earth-shaking tomorrow, but we might. The other bad news I have for the committee is that Senator Wiggins kept referring to himself as a caveman lawyer, I think, which reminds me of a story, which I now shall tell. I had a professor in law school who had a case before the Mississippi Supreme Court, which he lost, by the way. But he came back and was talking about his experience before the court. And he said his counsel opposite got up and said to the court, "Now, I'm just a simple country lawyer." And the professor paused for a minute and said, "And by golly, he was." He also had more votes on the Supreme Court than the professor had, which is really the bottom line of all of this.
So you don't deny I'm that simple.
I expressed no opinion on that. It's far beyond my area of expertise.
I can read it in the story.
But again, the issue was who had the votes, not anything else. Having said all that, I'll entertain a motion to rise and report. All in favor, aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you for coming. I know it's late. I thought it was useful to get some of this out of the way.